Hi, this is Trudy with Alum Agency, and today I wanted to go over a scenario that I see quite often with clients. This particular client was 76 years of age. They had paid $38 a month on a $4,000 whole life policy for the last 27 years. The original life insurance company that they got their policy from had actually gone out of business and they were sold to another life insurance company. The client did not have a copy of the life insurance policy and she was concerned that she did not have enough life insurance. The very first thing that I wanted to do was to get the client a workable solution. If you've been able to do the math, you know that this client over the last 27 years has paid over $12,312 for a $4,000 life insurance policy. This is never something that I recommend, although I'm not against whole life policies because in some cases they make sense when a client does what's called a reduce paid up. The issue with this particular policy is that she let this go on for 27 years when really after the first 10 years she should have been contacting the insurance company to get a reduced paid up policy. But again, if you don't know, then how do you know who to contact? You know, there's an old saying, you don't know what you don't know. So the very first thing we did was we were able to call and get a policy number from the new insurance company. This client was only sending in payments every month to the, I think I want to say it was Atlanta Life Insurance Company, but she did not know her policy number and she didn't even have an actual copy of the policy. So typically what happens in situations like this, and I've seen it happen a number of times, the loved ones will say, oh, well, I know my mom had a policy or I know grandma had a policy, but no one can find a policy. They don't have a policy number. The client has policy information from their very first policy, and that company is gone out of business. And in turn, what happens is the family never receives the death benefit that the client wanted their loved ones to receive. The second thing that we did was we had to ask about two things, and I only asked about these two issues to make a point for the client. There's something called cash value, and there's something called reduced paid up. Usually, when you hear people talking about whole life policies, they just say, oh, you're going to pay for the rest of your life until the day you die. Your cash value is going to be very minimal, but they never talk about the reduce paid up option. So in this client's case, her cash value was $2,114. What does that mean? Had the client said, I'm tired of paying you this $38 a month, I'm not paying for any more insurance, give me what I've paid, she would have only received $2,114. However, at 76 years of age, we do not want to cancel a life insurance policy if we don't have to. So, and we never want to cancel if you don't have other insurance in place. I've seen that happen so many times. The family feels like, oh, we're paying too much for our insurance. They cancel the policy and then that person is uninsurable. So never cancel a policy until you have secured new life insurance. But back to the reduced paid up. So her reduced paid up amount was $3,040. So when I talk about reduced paid up, you may be asking yourself, well, what is that? Reduced paid up is the amount you receive for a policy. It's a reduced death benefit amount, but you're receiving a policy that's paid in full at a reduced amount. So in her case, she wouldn't get a $4,000 policy paid up, but she was entitled to get $3,040 in a paid up policy. So now that we had secured the very important pieces of getting a policy number, having the paperwork sent to get a reduced paid up policy, we wanted to get the client enough insurance for her final wishes. With this particular client, I did discuss cremation, I discussed funerals, and her children told me, as a matter of fact, oh, we don't do cremations. So cremations were not an option in this particular option, which is why the client opted to get an additional $10,000 in life insurance coverage. So here we're still doing a we're still doing a whole life policy for two reasons. Number one, at 76 years of age, you no longer qualify for a term policy. Number two, even if she did qualify for a term policy, it would expire in 10 years, some 5 and some in 15 years. So and the amounts would be very close to the same $78 for whole life. So at this point, it doesn't make sense to try to get a term policy. And again, she wouldn't even qualify for a term policy. The second thing is we're going to wait on the new policy to be issued before we complete the reduced paid up policy paperwork. What we do not want to do is submit her for a new policy. We have this now, we're going to reduce the paid up policy, and then a new insurance company comes back and says, well, we will not issue you a policy, because now what will we have done, we have would have reduced the death benefit from 4,000 to 3,000. So again, you don't make rash decisions until you have a new policy in your hand. I don't care if the agent tells you, oh, this is going to be approved, and oh, we've looked at the underwriting, and oh, they're going to take the money out. Until you have a policy in your hand, do not cancel your current life insurance. The second thing that we did for this client is I was able to discuss Medicare programs that may reduce her monthly medical expenses, because when I deal with seniors on a fixed income, I don't want to have them paying all of their money toward health insurance, life insurance, medication. I think it's a very cruel system. So in discussing the Medicare programs with the client, we were actually able to find her an additional $71 a month. Remember, she's going to be saving $38. So her extra $40, because her new policy was $78, minus the $38 she's already paying, which means she will have had to come up with an extra $40 a month to cover this $10,000 policy. By us finding the additional $71 with her Medicare savings, we were actually able to net her an additional $31 a month, even with getting her a new life insurance policy. So now the client has a $3,000 paid up policy. She has a $10,000 whole life policy that will last her to age 100. And she also has an additional $31 a month that she can use to go to the movies, go to dinner, something that she finds enjoyable. So again, if you know of any seniors, or you may know someone who's disabled and they are on a limited income, but they still need life insurance, you can definitely have them contact me, especially a lot of our seniors that are on Medicare, and they may not be aware of the Medicare savings that are available to them. And oftentimes we can find money to pay for the life insurance by reducing the Medicare cost. You can reach us at www.alemagency, and that's AL, E as in Edward, M as in Mary, agency.com, or you can call at 1-855-576-2378. As always, you can email or inbox me on either website, Facebook page, or personal email. I hope this has been a help, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.